Okay. Mayor, I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Elmwood Park Mayor and Council for April 20th, 2023, to order at 7:01 p.m. On roll call, we have council members Dennis. Here. Golovic. Here. Fasolo.
Here.
Pellegrin.
Here.
Sheridan.
Here.
Council President Ballesteri.
Here.
Mayor Coletti.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Shanae. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We have a nice little audience with us this evening, nice little buzz you can hear from this point of view. So at this point, I'd like to have everybody stand and we'll do our prayer and flag salute. Oh God, our Father, we ask you to bless our meeting, which we entrust to your fatherly care and protection. Please remove all selfishness and prejudice from our hearts and implant therein a keen sense of justice and a greater love for you and our neighbors. Guide us in our deliberation so that our decisions will always please you and bring your peace and happiness to our community. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Whereas Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of the State of New Jersey require at the commencement of every meeting a statement of compliance be read by the presiding officer. Now, therefore, be advised that the meeting requirements for this meeting have been met by publishing a special meeting notice in the Record and Herald News and by posting such a notice in the office of the Borough Clerk, as well as in a public place within the municipal building, and by notifying interested citizens. Said notice was posted and transmitted on January 6th, 2023, and published on January 10th, 2023.
Okay, Mayor, at this time, we're going to have a proclamation to the Elks Youth Week, and I would like to turn the meeting back over to you.
Okay. Proclamation for the Elks and the children. Now, therefore, be resolved that the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park, New Jersey, do hereby proclaim the first week in May as Youth Week and urge all departments of government, civic, fraternal, and patriotic groups, and our citizens generally, to participate wholeheartedly in this observance. And I'd like to call up our exalted ruler, Bob Blum, to the podium. Bob, we thank you, the Elks, for all you do for our children, this town, this county, this state, and this country.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Yes, I would. I have a few things to say. Okay. I'd just like to take a moment. Thank you, Council, for this, and Mayor, for this award. Not award, this proclamation. It will be displayed proudly in our lodge room, and we thank you for your consideration. The Elmwood Park Patterson Elks Lodge number 60 was granted a charter from our National Foundation in 1969. At the time, it was known as East Patterson Elks Lodge number 2424. The cornerstone to our building across the way was laid in December of 1976. And in July of 2000, the East Patterson Elks, as it was known at the time, merged with Fairlawn Patterson Elks Lodge number 60, and our charter was amended to carry the name of Elmwood Park Patterson Lodge number 60. Number 60 being the number of the Patterson Elks Lodge when it was originally incorporated in the 1800s. Our lodge is involved in many activities in the town and in the community. We are basically a philanthropic organization, although we do have a social aspect. For our youth, we participate in a soccer shoot, a hoop shoot. We provide scholarships to graduating high school seniors in Elmwood Park. We donate to the Little League Baseball, the football Bombers. We provide dictionaries to all third graders in the town, both public and private schools. And we also have a peer leadership conference in the fall where we send juniors and seniors in high school to a conference on to be peer leaders in their community. For our community, we do food donations to St. Leo's Church 3 times a year for Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Easter. We also give food donations to the Residence Assistance Program in town. And last year we gave donations to the Helping Hands Food Ministry at Sacred Heart Church in Rochelle Park. For our special needs children, we conducted Family Fun Night. I believe it's the second Wednesday of every month. We also have financial assistance as well as trustee supervision to the Najeda Center in Clifton, which is the North Jersey Elks Disability Department agency. And as a matter of fact, that's the only, what used to be called the Cerebral Palsy Center. If you're old as me, you'll remember that possibly. But it's the only disability center with the name of Elks in its name. So we're kind of proud of that. We also donate money to the CTC Academy in Fairlawn. We sponsor campers at Camp Moore, which is a state-run project in Haskell, New Jersey, for special needs children up to age, I think, 19, from kindergarten to 19. And it's a one-on-one camper experience. And it's also a respite for the parents, and that's free of charge. We also our veterans, we're very involved with our veterans in the community. We do a holiday food donation to the Veterans Assistance Housing in Patterson. We hold an annual Veterans Breakfast, and we support the Army of Hope, which is a state project that provides financial assistance to those soldiers, the families of those soldiers that were deceased or severely injured during their active duty. And we're also involved in patriotic programs. We have a Flag Day ceremony every year, which will be coming up on July 14th. All are welcome to come. And this Sunday, we'll have a flag retirement where we respectfully dispose of flags. And this year it's held in our Rutherford Lodge. If anybody has a flag that's worn, you're welcome to donate it, bring it to our lodge, and we'll make sure that's respectfully retired. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Mr. Plum, exalted ruler for the Elks. Besides all the great stuff that you do for the community, as a member, I get every month the Elks magazine, and it's a wonderful magazine. It's historical, and I love those history lessons. It's done very well. We're going to take a picture here. Council, you care to join? Sure. Gotta do the photo op, right?
Okay, Mayor, at this time, we have a presentation to the Residence Assistance Program. I would like to call up Pamela Troisi, Mayor Coletti, Chief Feligno, and Councilwoman Pellegrini.
Shanae,
Yes?
I'm sorry. I just want to have a motion to go into executive for a moment.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Okay.
What- What's going on here?
Councilwoman Dennis motioned to go into executive. Councilman Fasolo second. So now I'm gonna call the roll.
Okay.
On roll call, we have Councilmembers Dennis,
Yes.
Golubek,
Yes.
Fasolo,
Yes.
Pellegrin,
No.
Sheridan,
No.
Council President Ballasteri.
Yes.
Motion carries, whereas the Open Public Meeting Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231, permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas the public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, and whereas the governing body wishes to discuss litigation, legal reports, minutes will be kept, and once the matter involving the confidentiality of the above no longer requires that confidentiality, then the minutes can be made public. Now therefore be it resolved that the publicly excluded from this meeting. At this time, we're going to move to the caucus room to hold the executive session.
Stay with us, we'll be back.
Can I have a motion to go back into the public?
So move. Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Okay, Mayor, at this time, we will have a presentation to the Residents Assistance Program done by Pamela Troisi. I would like to call up Mayor Coletti, Chief Michael Foligno, and Councilwoman Pellegrin. It's okay. It's okay.
Coming?
Yeah.
First, I would just like to introduce Jacqueline's mom, Nicole, and her sister, Brianna. Today, we're donating 5 Safe Sleep boxes to the Residents Assistance Program. The Safe Sleep boxes contain educational material and baby items that prevent SIDS. And Jacqueline would be celebrating her first birthday on April 30th. But she's forever 3.5 months old. We want to see every baby celebrate their first birthday. So in her honor, we're donating these Safe Sleep boxes in hopes that it makes a difference for at least one baby. That's it.
Well, I guess some of us might have experienced a child's death in a crib, and the knowledge that Pam has been bringing forth, she's been to the homeowners, she's been to multiple organizations, and bringing the word of what should be done and what shouldn't be done to save a child's life. So with that, I want to commend her, and thank you very much for bringing it to our attention.
I would just like to thank Pam and her family on behalf of the Residents Assistance Program. Pam has been going all around town to all the organizations, as the mayor said, trying to save lives here. And I believe with the information that she has given all of us, it will save lives. So I commend, it was a tragedy, and they're going to save lives with this. And it's very hard to do, as I hear her speak at all these different meetings. My heart goes out to all of you. But you're really making a difference, and I just want to commend all of you for coming tonight, and thank you from the bottom of our hearts for making a difference. And these tools that you give us are really going to make a difference. So thank you all.
Oh, thank you. First and foremost, condolences to the family. We're very sorry for the loss. Thank you for donating these to the borough. It's very helpful, and you have the support of the police department for the program that you deliver. So thank you very much.
Hey.
Okay, back to business.
Mayor, at this time, we will have our public hearing on the 2023 municipal budget.
Would anyone from the public like to come up and speak on the municipal budget? Is anyone from the public here to speak? No? If no one else cares to speak, we'll close the public session.
Okay.
Doesn't the budget have to be presented by the CFO before there's a public hearing?
At this time, we have our CFO, Roy Rigatano, present the 2023 municipal budget.
Good evening, everyone. So the last meeting, there was nothing more than an intro to the budget. The biggest issue that usually comes to the residents and to the council is how much our tax is going to go up on the municipal side. So for this year, it's going to be zero. Zero because of the tightening, the cuts that your BA instituted back in October through you as the council. This started in October. We've been cutting everywhere we can to reduce whatever we could do. But by the same token, as the newspapers and everyone else probably in the public in New Jersey knows, New Jersey state health benefits went up 21%. Pensions went up roughly 6%. And again, because of the BA and you, Mayor and Council, we had the foresight 2 years ago to do a 5-year garbage contract. I could tell you without any hesitation, many towns have doubled their garbage contract in the last year. We're locked in for another 2 to 3 years. Again, foresight on all of you that I stand before. So with the zero coming in this year, we're also working very closely with the school business administrator and the superintendent. I'm doing this now 24 years here approximately. I could tell you we just lost a great BA who retired, and we just picked up another great BA. They're very hard to find in the school districts. You're very fortunate to have a great superintendent and BA, and I say that without hesitation. So with that, Mayor and Council, again, if you want any other details, it's been posted. The American Rescue Plan money is in there. It's our last, what we call second tranche of $1,044,000. That is all to help with the shortage in the revenue, all due to the COVID-19 experience that everybody has suffered tremendously. Moving forward, we're already talking about next year. Chief Foligno, myself, Finance Committee, we're already looking again to see where we can make cuts to keep the tax rate as low as possible, but yet have the vital services that are needed. As a volunteer fireman in another community, I can tell you have a great fire department, police beyond greatness. Like I said, other than living here, I'm going to be more proud to be here. Anything else, Mayor?
Any comments from the council? Yes.
Yes. First, I'd like to commend you for your work. You're a professional. You always do a great job for the borough, and I want to say thank you. But I do have a question. What do you foresee in the next 2 years as far as a tax increase for the town?
So it's a question that is asked almost monthly from different mayors, councils, where I also share as a GFOA executive board in New Jersey. It's always questioned what happens next year. Really don't know. I could tell you we have our 5-year program for capital, and we pretty much stayed on target with that. We continue to get phenomenal DOT grants, community development grants, and that's really all helping with the bonding. Tonight you have a bond ordinance before you with no debt issued. which is just unheard of. And it's just the hard work of everybody lobbying day and night to try to get more money for Elmwood Park. So if you had to do a complete guesstimate, I would say probably not zero, but I said that last year before you. If you go look at the newspaper, I didn't think you could do zero this year, and you did. And you did quite convincingly with no cuts in services. Sure, we cut some of the supplies, other expenses. My staff, we didn't replace yet. For every month that we don't replace, we save money, and that's what we're trying to do. So $100, $200. Are you going to see $500, $600, $700? No. If you do, that's not going to be because of you as a council. It's going to be of a tragedy in the economic world. Right now, we're at 6% inflation. Gas prices are going up every day. You saw the health insurance here, $1 million-something increase. Is that going to happen next year? We're hoping not. Again, because you have the tools in place, everyone on the council is always asking questions coming into the office. You're just as part of it as I am, and I'm your full-time CFO. You're all involved, and I couldn't be happier having another set of eyes. I say it all the time. The public's constantly asking questions. Come in the office, let's go over it. Maybe you have a better idea than me. So I don't see zero, but I don't see $500, $600, $700 increases either. So I think it's going to be minimal at this time. And again, it's all because of the tightening of the belts, and we continue to do that from the day I came in this borough.
Thank you.
Anyone else care to speak?
Yes, Mayor, if I may. I'd like to commend our CFO, Mr. Rigatano, our auditor, Mr. Wilcox. Mr. Rigatano's been doing this for a very long time with Elmwood Park. I think we really need to underscore the historic nature of what we're doing here. I'm a student of Elmwood Park history, and I cannot go back into modern Elmwood Park history to find the last time that there were 2 consecutive budgets in a row that kept taxes flat, that kept taxes, municipal taxes, flat. All in the face of inflation ranging from 6 to 9%, a 15% health insurance increase because we're in the state health benefit program, and I attribute all that to smart spending, the everyday work between the administrator and the CFO, smart development and redevelopment. Taxes in Elmwood Park, and there's a graph I can share, went up substantially between 2005 and 2015. The economic recession, I'm sure, had a part of it. But I truly believe Elmwood Park once had the reputation like, closed for business. Like, if you're not building a 1 or 2 family home, don't bother us. And we've opened ourselves to the business community and negotiated different projects that are coming on the books and will come on the books. We have probably $2 to $3 million in new property taxes that are approved or being constructed right now that aren't even reflected in this budget. We are in tremendous shape from that perspective. And the last one, because it is a fact, we made a very smart decision with our federal American Rescue Plan money. Some communities took their cash, 3, 4 million, whatever it was, and paid for an entire project in cash. Great, the project was paid for, they didn't have to bond, but they couldn't do anything with that money to help offset a potential tax increase. Now, I remember, and the public can look, this mayor and council had a very, very heated debate about how to spend that federal money. Some wanted to pay for projects in cash, part of projects in cash, and others said, no, it goes to tax relief for the residents. And the argument that it goes to tax relief for the residents won the day, and I thank the members of the council, my colleagues, who were with that argument, because that is partially the reason why we can deliver 2 zeros in a row. Never been done before that I can find in Elmwood Park history. Thank you, Mayor.
Anyone else care to speak?
Yes, Mayor, I want to echo what Councilman Golovic said. Tremendous work by the council, by the finance department. Roy, you're always outstanding. It's great for the residents. I know I personally pay a lot of taxes, and to have 2 years in a row that I don't see an increase and that's going to benefit every resident. So thank you.
Anyone else care to
Yes.
speak?
Yeah, I just want to also thank you, Roy. We're very fortunate to have you 24 years and have a lot of faith in you when you come to us and working hard with our BA. I think that's what also brought us to where we are today. So thank you, both of you, very much.
Anyone else? Well, I see this a little different. I see it, the last 2 years, if we don't receive the grant money of $1 million, we'd be raising taxes each year. The $1 million allowed us last year and this year not to raise taxes. Now, the optics of it look good, zero. How could anybody deny that? That's great. And I'm sure that's how most of these council people feel. But the fact of the matter is that we would be $2 million minus right now, and your taxes would be going up. So we'll accept the zero. It's fair enough. It sounds good. It looks good. You're not going to see it in your tax bill. But I do want to caution the council about spending and tightening the reins so that next year our CFO, oh, by the way, mayor and council just give him the numbers. He's got to work with them. So you can't blame him. I caution us that for next year, if we do want to keep that to a minimum cost in taxation raise, then we should tighten the budget. Anyone else care to speak? If not, I'll open it to the public. Would anybody from the public care to speak on this matter? The budget and the budget only.
Pam Troy, 31 Elmwood Drive. I'm just curious, has there been any point in modern history where we received over $1 million in grants 2 years in a row?
Best of my knowledge, the largest amount we received was from Congressman Pasquale. It was, I believe, close to $400,000 fireman grant. I think Roy would have better knowledge of that.
Yeah. No, there's never been millions of dollars by the United States government to give municipalities relief as a direct result of the COVID-19. Never.
Never.
That's it, thank you.
Anyone else care to speak on the budget? If not, I'll close the public portion.
Okay.
A late comer. I hope you don't pay your taxes late.
But I pay interest. I make the town more money, I pay interest. All right, Andy Solano, 49 Cape Avenue. So I'd just like to ask, how do you see that we will be at zero, close to zero next year without that millions of dollars in grants?
That's my point.
I'd like to take a stab at answering that, Mayor. And I don't have a crystal ball, but I will say that we have several projects that are not reflected in the rateable tax base yet. We have 400 Riverwalk that received a partial assessment for how far along they were built last November. If you follow the same model of taxation with the other buildings, that building itself could generate between $500,000 and $600,000 in property taxes. You have the building across from it that will start leasing in July or August, which will be assessed in October, which should reflect, I would think, at least $300,000 to $400,000. The Prologis building, which is a 400,000 square foot warehouse, is not yet reflected in the ratables and has not been yet assessed. The Marcal property, which probably won't be done, is a 200,000 square foot warehouse, and the estimates are between $500,000 and $600,000 on that. So if you extrapolate 200,000 to 400,000 down by Prologis, maybe you're looking at $800,000 or $900,000 in tax money that is not currently on the books. So that will not, I'm not guaranteeing that'll get us to zero, but that is a very, very important fact to consider when we talk about all these things.
My compliments on you knowing your numbers, Mr. Gombeck.
I'd just like to ask,
Wait.
that money before we get it.
Exactly, that's where I was going. He's basing everything off
I don't
of
even know- I don't even know-
anticipated, wait,
what
it's
does
my
that even-
turn.
what does that even
It's my
mean?
turn, I let you speak. Anticipated revenue, that's what he's basing on. Go ahead.
That's all I just want to say, let's not spend that money before
Thank you. Anyone else care to speak? If not, we'll close the public portion. Shanae?
Okay, we have Resolution R-169-23, introduced ordinance number 23-14 on second reading, whereas the public notice has been given by the Borough Clerk that an ordinance entitled Calendar Year 2023, ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank, NJSA 40A:4-45.14, whereas said ordinance was introduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, March 13, 2023, and that further consideration of this ordinance would be taken up at this meeting, and whereas all persons interested in ordinance were given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that an ordinance entitled Calendar Year 2023, ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits to establish a cap bank, in JSA 40A:4-45.14, passed on final reading.
Motion to adopt the budget? Again?
Yes, for this
All right,
ordinance.
we got to open it to the public again, according to the script here. Anyone from the public
A
here? to-
motion, I need a motion. I need a motion to open to the public.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone from the public here to speak, once again, on the budget, and budget only?
on this
Mr. Freitag.
ordinance.
Jeffrey Freitag, 35 Elmwood Park. Just to clarify something, my name
See if you can speak in the mic there, Jeff.
doesn't work anyway. So Jeffrey Freitag, is he working?
Yeah, hold on, yeah.
When I speak, it'll go green. There it goes. This budget began January 1, correct? 23? So it's considered the 23 budget or 22?
23.
Well, it says 22.
That's a typo on the cover page, but on the actual ordinance, it says 2023.
Pardon me?
That's a typo on the cover page, but on the actual resolution, it says 2023.
Oh. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else from the public here to speak? If not, I'll close the public portion. Motion to adopt the budget,
No one cares. We have a motion to adopt the ordinance. We're doing the ordinance first.
May I have a motion to adopt the ordinance, please?
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
First by Pellegrin, second by Fasolo. On roll call, we have council members Dennis.
Yes.
Fasolo.
Yes.
Golubek.
Yes.
Pellegrin.
Yes.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Council President Ballasteri.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution R-170-23, adoption of the 2023 municipal budget. Be it resolved that the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park and the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey hereby adopt the 2023 municipal budget set forth herein and shall constitute an appropriation for the purposes stated of the sums therein set forth as appropriations and authorization in the amount of $19,155,373.22 for municipal purposes.
Motion to adopt the 2023 municipal budget.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
First by Pellegrin, second by Fasolo. On roll call, we have council members Dennis.
Yes.
Fasolo.
Yes.
Golubek.
Yes.
Pellegrin.
Yes.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Council President Ballasteri.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Well, we got through that. Thank you, Roy.
Thank you, everyone.
Appreciate it.
At this time, we have ordinances on first reading. Resolution R-171-23, introduced ordinance number 23-15 on first reading. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled Borough of Elmwood Park, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, an ordinance to amend Chapter 10 of the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park entitled Construction and Buildings to amend various fees in certain language. Be passed and adopted on first reading, and be it resolved that a final hearing on said ordinance will be heard in the municipal building on Thursday, May 18, 2023, at 7:00 p.m. or as soon thereafter, as same can be heard, at which time any persons interested in said ordinance can be heard. Be it further resolved that the Borough Clerk be she is hereby authorized to advertise in a legal newspaper a notice of introduction and final hearing as required by law.
Mr. Foligno, would you like to break this down for us?
Yes, Mayor. Our construction official, Mr. Ambrosio, has come forward with the fee schedule for his department through our borough code and has indicated that most of the fees are seriously outdated. And he has made a recommendation to the council for those fees to be increased, which he presented to you, and that's what we have before us.
Okay, so basically, we're bringing our fees in the building department just up to date, so to speak. May I have a motion on the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
First by Pellegrin, second by Fasolo. On roll call, we have Councilmembers Dennis.
Yes.
Fasolo.
Yes.
Golubek.
Yes.
Pellegrin.
Yes.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Council President Ballestieri.
Yes.
Motion carries. Now we have Resolution R-172-23, introduced ordinance number 23-16 on first reading. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance to Amend Chapter 7, Traffic of the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park," more specifically Article 7-11, parking prohibited at all times on certain streets, be passed and adopted on first reading. And be it resolved that a final hearing on said ordinance will be heard in the municipal building on Thursday, May 18th, 2023 at 7:00 p.m. or as soon thereafter as same can be heard, at which time any persons interested in said ordinance can be heard. Be it further resolved that the borough clerk be and she is hereby authorized to advertise in a legal newspaper a notice of introduction and final hearing as required by law.
Mr. Foligno, once again.
Yes, Mayor. This was a request by a local business for the police department to evaluate a situation of parking in front of their business. And similar to Market Street, where there is timed parking so that people don't park their vehicles in front of the businesses and leave them all day long, so the business can function, we have enacted timed parking, and that's what we're doing here on Mola Boulevard.
May I have a motion on the ordinance?
So moved.
Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
First by Pellegrin, second by Sheridan. On roll call, we have Councilmembers Dennis.
Yes.
Fasolo.
Yes.
Golubek.
Yes.
Pellegrin.
Yes.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Council President Ballestieri.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution R-173-23, introduced ordinance number 23-17 on first reading. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled, "Ordinance Amending and Supplementing the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park, Chapter 7, Traffic, Section 7-35.1, handicap parking on streets, to create and assign a parking space for it as a handicap parking," be passed and adopted on first reading. And be it resolved that a final hearing on said ordinance can be heard in the municipal building on Thursday, May 18, 2023 at 7:00 p.m. or as soon thereafter as same can be heard, at which time any persons interested in said ordinance can be heard. Be it further resolved that the borough clerk be and she is hereby authorized to advertise in a legal newspaper a notice of introduction and final hearing as required by law.
This is self-explanatory, handicap parking space. May I have a motion on the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
First by Pellegrin, second by Fasolo. On roll call, we have Councilmembers Dennis.
Yes.
Fasolo.
Yes.
Golubek.
Yes.
Pellegrin.
Yes.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Council President Ballestieri.
Yes.
Motion carries. Now we are moving on to ordinances on second reading. We have Resolution R-174-23, introduced ordinance number 23-05 on second reading. Whereas the public notice has been given by the borough clerk that an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Adopting a Redevelopment Plan for Block 1202, Lots 21, in accordance with the local redevelopment and housing law," was introduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, February 16, 2023, and that further consideration of this ordinance will be taken up at this meeting. And whereas all persons interested in said ordinance were given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same, now therefore it be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Adopting a Redevelopment Plan for Block 1202, Lot 21, in accordance with the local redevelopment and housing law," passed on final reading. At this time, I would like to call forward, before the public hearing, Mr. Francis Reiner and Mr. Stancil Alampi to explain this ordinance.
Maybe right down here, Mike. If that Mike's... Welcome, gentlemen.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Thanks for having us. For the record, my name is Santo Alampi. I serve as special counsel to this body and to the borough at large. With me is Fran Reiner from DMR, who is the redevelopment planner for the borough. The council will recall that we introduced an ordinance, and that ordinance was for the redevelopment plan for Block 1202 Lot 21, and the redevelopment plan was then referred over to the planning board for their review and comments. We've been asked to come back here as we have now received the correspondence from the planning board dated March 16th. On March 8th, the Elmwood Park Planning Board did have the public hearing with respect to the redevelopment plan, and pursuant to redevelopment law, they are looking at the plan and determining whether or not that plan is consistent with the borough master plan. Happy to report that the letter does indicate that the planning board did find that the redevelopment plan is consistent with the master plan. Statutorily, that's all this body needs in order to act and take the next step. That being said, there were some comments in that correspondence that the planning board wanted to bring to the attention of the council. The council obviously had considered many of those comments when working towards the redevelopment plan, but since they did put it in the letter, we thought it prudent to come back to the body and address those items. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Mr. Reiner to speak to the points.
Are those them right there? So I can go through. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So tonight is what would be the culmination of well over a year of work that started with the property owner coming to the borough and looking to revitalize a piece of property that had been abandoned for well over a decade and was in a state of complete disrepair. And the borough, to its credit, and I give all of you credit, that used the redevelopment law that the state allows in order to revitalize and redevelop properties that are either abandoned and or in states of disrepair. That process started with a number of conversations with the developer over many months. It culminated in the mayor and council initiating an investigation study to determine whether or not the property met the statutory criteria as an area in need of redevelopment. It was referred over to the planning board. The planning board reviewed the report that was filed that indicated it did meet the statutory criteria. The planning board was in agreement with that, and the mayor and council adopted the property as an area in need of redevelopment without condemnation. The next step in that process is to consider a redevelopment plan. The redevelopment plan is an initiative that is started and initiated by the mayor and council. The mayor and council then moved the redevelopment plan to the planning board. As Mr. Alampi had indicated, the planning board's role in this process is to determine whether or not the redevelopment plan is consistent with the borough's master plan. So that was first reading, referring it over to the planning board. Planning board sent comments back, and this evening is the second reading. So I wanted to just briefly go over what the project is proposed as, and then go through the items that are in the letter regarding comments by the planning board. So what's being proposed here is a townhouse project. The only permitted use on the site would be a townhouse project. The maximum number of units on the project would be 18. The maximum height and number of stories would be 3 stories, 35 feet, with a maximum building coverage of 40%. The property has, and there was a layout within the redevelopment plan, which basically had 9 townhouses located on one side and 9 townhouses located on the other. The borough's parking requirements for townhouses is 2 spaces per unit. The state's requirement through what is known as RSIS, which is a conservative requirement from the state has for different housing, are 2 parking spaces per unit. The redevelopment plan requires 2 spaces per unit. 1 is inside the garage and 1 is outside of the garage. And the redevelopment plan also requires 7 additional parking spaces beyond what is the maximum requirement for parking. And so we believe that's kind of the basis of the project. Reviewing the letter that was transmitted from the planning board dated March 16th, there were a number of items that were requested or suggested. The first being that parking stalls to be 9 feet by 18 feet, not 8.5 feet by 18 feet. The plan allows 8.5 by 18 for the outside visitor parking spaces. We believe that 8.5 is more than adequate. However, this is a comment that can certainly be dealt with at the planning board as a part of a site plan application. There's a request to provide sufficient loading zones for deliveries. The plan does have 7 visitor parking spaces, and then it also has a striped parking area that would allow for trucks of delivery trucks that is separate and apart from those 7 parking spaces. Again, as a part of the next step, a site plan application would go to the planning board, and one of those spaces, if the board deemed it necessary, could actually request that the developer take one of those 7 visitor parking spaces and make it a specific to a loading and or delivery. So that's possible as a part of a site plan application. The third comment was to consider less units. We did work, as I mentioned, with this developer for several months prior to initiating the process. And when we started this process, it was to do a larger multifamily project with parking on the ground floor and residential units above. We believe that we got to a very good place in terms of the amount of units for the size of the property. It's a very good transition between the single-family houses, if you look at the property to the right, and a commercial building to the left. So this really represents exactly from a planning perspective why you would want to have, you want to transition from single-family to a townhouse, slightly more intense, to a commercial properties which are significantly more intense. So we believe that although that is a consideration, we believe that the project from a design standpoint is more than adequate, and we know that because you could have fit more townhouses on the site. As a part of the iterative process, we went from multifamily to 22 units to 20 units to 18 units. So we believe that comment was actually met even though we presented 18 units to the planning board. There was also a request to consider recreational space. The property does have some open space, but there are no dedicated recreational space. There were comments about providing recreation space for children. We don't believe that that's necessary as a part of a project that is only 18 units. And then there's a comment to consider adequate parking for visitors. Again, the statutory requirement for from both the Elmwood Park zoning ordinance and the state's RSIS is to have a minimum of 2 parking spaces per unit. This particular project requires 2 parking spaces per unit plus 7 additional parking spaces for visitors. So we believe that is more than adequate in terms of the amount of parking because it goes well beyond what the statutory requirements are for this type of project from both the state statute and also from the zoning ordinance. So we believe that, as was indicated, the planning board found that the property the development was consistent with the redevelopment plan and with the master plan, and we believe that a number of these issues can be dealt with from a site-specific application in front of the board, and would recommend that the mayor and council move this forward and culminate well over a year's worth of work in what you're supposed to do, which is to take abandoned properties that are falling in states of disrepair and to revitalize them into productive properties that provide tax revenue beyond what the underlying zoning would allow or would ask for.
Thank you, Francis. Council, any comments?
Mayor, if I may, I'd like to just thank our professionals for so eloquently presenting all of this. I just want to reiterate something I've said before when we discuss redevelopment. Redevelopment is not an owner or developer coming in and saying, I want this, and we say, okay, rubber stamp. This is months and months and years sometimes of a process. This started with a request for maybe 60 to 70 units. This council said, no, not interested, not good for that particular spot. And then we went into the townhome complex. I want to just highlight, as Mr. Reiner did, that the parking on this site, which was achieved through negotiation with the owner, far exceeds the borough standards, far exceeds the state standards. In the event that additional parking is needed, this property happens to be located near an office park that has some 600 parking spots. And in the event that that is not available, the people that will live in this development will be residents just as we are. We are no special, more special if you live in a single-family home, you rent, you live in a rental building, or a townhome. If someone visits us, our visitors have a right to park somewhere in the street in Elmwood Park to enjoy our company in our home in Elmwood Park. And last but not least, and this goes to the theme of, how we're going to deal with this budget going forward into the future. This site currently pays about $15,000 in property taxes, and when constructed, will probably generate anywhere from $180,000 to $220,000, spreading the ratables and spreading the tax base better amongst all of the property owners in Elmwood Park. So I thank the professionals for their presentation. Thank you.
Anyone else care to speak? Well, once again, Daniel, I want to compliment you on your numbers. I have a slightly different take on this. First, let me start off with the fact that we got away from apartments there and went to townhouses is a very good thing. They're cozy looking, village looking, so there's no problem with that. Problem here in Elmwood Park, as other dense towns around us, is parking. It should be our number one priority. If the code, how it's been displayed by the professionals, is 1.5, we should go to 2, because we currently have parking problems. And yes, that's not going to be so conducive to the developer, I understand that, but we should hold the ground, hold the line on the parking. Now, you got 18 units there, and you got 8 visiting parking spaces. Comes a holiday, 9 of the units are having visitors, they're out of visitors parking. So where do they go? Well, the councilman has suggested they go next door in the commercial lot with no approval, and that's how you give them permission on this project based on, well, go next door and park? We don't want to drive the cars into the streets, because that's what we're trying to get away and reduce. So I would suggest 2 less units, and that will give us 4 more parking spaces. The 8 visitors parking spaces go to 12. And to me, that's moving in the right direction as opposed to the way it sits now. Anyone else care to speak? May I have a motion, please? Open to the public. All in favor? Yes.
Yes, Jeffrey Freitag, 35 Elmwood Drive. I somewhat agree with you, everything, but
I can't hear you, Jeff. Mike, can we get that on?
it's on.
It's on?
The one thing you mentioned about going to 16 versus 18, sure, that would add probably more than 4 spaces. The one problem with the entire setting of the property itself is that it's somewhat isolated. Other than the commercial parking, the commercial buildings, which would contain the Phillips Eye Center, AGFA, and over, they are their property and their parking spaces. Now, I don't know if they're amenable to that or whatever, and how that would work. I don't know if there are ways to walk over without walking across a field or whatever. But other than that, you can't park on River Drive. Homestead is a cul-de-sac, and which is out of that area. So where do you park except on site? So again, getting back to that, I don't know. And now I believe that I had heard a number of 8, and I heard a number of 7. I believe 7 is what was proposed. Is that correct?
It's
7.
It's 7, and then there's a striped space that allows for delivery loading
Okay,
trucks. So it
so
depends
there
on
is a
how
total.
you
Right.
measure that number.
I don't even know if that's going to be good with deliveries, because as you see, and as we all see, living in modern times, delivery trucks all day are delivering packages here, there, everywhere. So the one space for that, I don't know if that's going to work. Only time will tell. Other than that, I think the project itself will definitely make it look better than what it was. And again, about the townhouses being better than something more impactful, I think they're a good thing. So other than that, I agree that more parking spaces for visitors although this is the minimum that the state requires?
So the state, just to be clear, the state requires that you have a minimum of 2 parking spaces per unit, and that's it. This plan requires 2 parking spaces per unit, plus the 7, plus the delivery loading space. So we are well beyond what the minimum requirement is by the state.
Beyond, I'm sorry,
So again, so both the Elmwood Park zoning ordinance requires that you have 2 parking spaces per townhouse.
Right.
And no visitor parking. There's no visitor parking as a requirement in the ordinance. The state of New Jersey's RSIS standards require 2 parking spaces per townhouse and have no requirement for visitor parking. This project provides and requires 2 parking spaces per townhouse unit, plus 7 visitor parking, plus the loading delivery parking space.
How was the 7 arrived at? I thought there was some sort of...
No, there is no rule. The 7 was arrived at because when we started the project, like I said, like it was indicated, it started with multifamily, then we looked at 22 units with no visitor parking, down to 20 units with some visitor parking, down to 18 units with more visitor parking. So the 7/8 spaces are really predicated on the reduction of number of units that allowed us to put visitor parking that is beyond what is required by either the Elmwood Park zoning ordinance or the state's RSIS requirement.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else care to be heard on this ordinance? Yes, sir. State your name and address, please.
Albert Collier from Grove Street, Elmwood Park, 179. I'll give you a good example of a street that has a problem with parking, Grove Street. We have people come from New York City, and they park next door for their parties. I don't mind the parties, but when they park, just hit the whole street. People got driveways. They don't use the driveways. That makes it bad for people like me that don't have a driveway. Me and my dad got to park in front of our house. If he goes out, or I go out, we come back, the spot's gone. That's ridiculous. Because people got driveways, they should use the driveways. Something should be told them, you got people coming to visit you, park in the driveway. Or put your car in the driveway, so they can park by your house. Not in front of our house. It's like, Grove Street is like the worst street of all, as far as that goes, as far as parking. Because it's ridiculous. You got people coming from New York City, I mean, there's like maybe 10, 11 cars. There goes the parking. We go to the street. It's bottled up. It's ridiculous.
I know,
Something has to be done with that.
we have that problem in other areas of town, and there's not much we can do because you can't stop a person from parking on a city street. If it's there for, what is it, Mike, 48 hours? If it's there for 48 hours, you call the police department, they'll come, they'll mark the tire, and then I guess it's another 48 hours after that, Mike? After the tire's marked?
Once it's marked, it's 48 from that moment.
From that moment. So it's an ordeal to get some satisfaction. But that's, once again, to your point, we got to be cognizant of the parking.
And also like, I don't know if this is ordinance for that, but I feel as a driver, I think that one-way streets up and down should be in the town, because one of these days, there's going to be a big accident, and somebody's going to get killed, or somebody's going to get seriously hurt on these streets. You got cars coming down Grove and coming up at the same time, and I'll tell you, with cars on both sides, you're lucky you can pull over and get out of the way before they hit you. And they're flying down the streets. I mean, I've seen it many times. I've seen accidents. One of these days, it's going to be really bad. I mean, I went to other towns in this area, Garfield, Southbrook. They got one-way street up and down, and it seems to work nice. I mean, you don't have nobody going head-on with each other. New York is another example. They got more up and down one-way streets. I don't see why they can't do that here. It's been tried. They tried to do it. A lot of mayors all said they were going to do it. Oh, we're going to do it. Never been done yet since I've been living in town here 27 years, and I've seen accidents on each side streets. It's terrible. One of these days, somebody's going to get killed, and it's going to be. And I hope to God that it's not a little girl or a mother or a family that's going to get it, because it's ridiculous. I mean, one-way streets up and down is a good idea. I think they should put that into a plan and see if they can come up with something.
We'll take that into consideration.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else care to speak?
Andrew Tisolano, 49 Kent. Yes, so I'm on the planning board, and one of the concerns I didn't hear come up was that there was no place to make a U-turn. If you have cars, the second spot is in front of the garage. When there's cars in front of all the garages, there's no way for people to make a U-turn for trucks, and we don't want people backing out onto River Road. So that was one of the major concerns I didn't hear addressed. And then also, you know, one of this parking spots is in the garage. So a lot of people end up filling up their garages and then don't use the garage for their car, vehicle. So that's not a concern that we.
Do you care to answer that about the U-turn, Francis?
So the U-turn comment was not addressed in the letter. However, I'll address it. As I mentioned, there are 7 visitor spaces, and then there's 1 stripe space that could be used for deliveries and trucks that is in front of the rest of the units. In other words, it's closest to River Road, so that can always be used as a way for a vehicle to head in, turn around, and do a U-turn without having to back out on the river. Obviously, I would hope that the planning board, as a part of the conditions of approval, should they allow that, would require that vehicles would not be allowed to back onto River Road, that they would have to conduct the U-turn fully within the property to make it safe.
So what you're saying, that could be addressed at the planning board stage?
Yes.
Thank you. Anyone else care to speak? If not, I'll close the public portion. May I have a motion to adopt the ordinance?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
First by Pellegrini, second by Fasolo. On roll call, we have council members Dennis.
Yes.
Fasolo.
Yes.
Golovic.
Yes.
Pellegrini.
Yes.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Council President Ballestieri.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mayor, Council, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Take care, guys. Thank you.
Moving on to Resolution R-175-23, introduced ordinance number 23-08 on second reading. Whereas the public notice has been given by the Borough Clerk that an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance to Amend the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park, New Jersey, amending the Borough Code and all general ordinances of the borough, more specifically Section 9, Chapter 4, entitled Licensing and Business Regulations within the Borough of Elmwood Park," was introduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, March 16, 2023, and that further consideration of this ordinance will be taken up at this meeting. And whereas all persons interested in said ordinance were given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same. Now therefore it be resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance to Amend the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park, New Jersey, amending the Borough Code and all general ordinances of the borough, more specifically Section 9, Chapter 4, entitled Licensing and Business Regulations within the Borough of Elmwood Park," passed on final reading.
Thank you. Sal, would you like to comment on this, please?
Yes, Mayor, this is an ordinance that is going to amend and extend certain areas where cannabis can be regulated and used, taking into consideration based on what the planner has proposed, is an area on both sides of Route 46. The reason for that is that most of the properties that are already delineated for the purposes of cannabis licensing are either out of reach for some of the individuals who want licensing, and in order to expand that and give them an opportunity to get premises allowable, this ordinance expands that so that it can be used. And in compliance, again, with the state law and the regulations of the Cannabis Commission, which they look forward to seeing these particular licenses utilized.
Thank you, Sal. May I have a motion to open to the public?
Second.
Anyone from the public care to speak on this ordinance and this ordinance alone?
Freitag, 35 Hillman Drive. Just one question. We're on R-175-23?
Correct.
Ordinance 2308?
Yes.
Okay. This is in particular referencing about the licenses for cannabis, correct? Not where they're located, that I understand.
It's an expansion of the Class 1 and 2.
Right, to allow for more.
Yes.
At the judgment of the mayor and council.
Correct.
So this would allow which particular licenses, the Class 4 and Class 5, which are distributors
Which
and
are
retailers, correct?
conditional and retailers.
What
and
was that?
Producers.
I'm sorry.
Conditional and retailers.
I thought Class 4 is a distributor. Am I wrong?
I'm sorry?
It's,
I'm sorry?
It says 3 of Class 1 and 4 of Class 2.
It's 4 and 5, issuance of Class.
Issuance of Class 1 and 2, of expanding them from 3 to 4.
Okay, the letter D is that the maximum had been 3 and 4. 3 of Class 1 and 4 of Class 2, correct?
It's a maximum amount being amended to reflect that it is being increased to no more than 3 to 4. And what you had before was 2 of each.
Okay. And now, letter D, issuance of Class 4 and Class 5 is hereby determined to be the best interest of the borough. That, the issuance of said licenses is hereby authorized, so they can be added,
Yes,
so we're going to add more licenses.
yes. That's,
Of a different class.
it's the expansion of the classes which are not accessible into the area that's going to be increased.
Okay, which, both areas then.
Yes.
Okay, so it's limitless?
No, it's 3 to 4. 3 of each Class 1 and 4 of Class 2. Spanning it from 2 to.
Okay, now let's go to Class 4 and 5. Like that.
Those are the issuance that are consistent with the prior ordinance.
So we had more than 4 classes, licenses.
No, you had 2 of each class throughout the whole ordinance,
Of all the classes?
of all classes.
Because there's 6 classes.
Yes, and there was 2, 2, 2, 2, and 2. This increases the Class 2 and Class 3.
Okay. I'm certainly confused.
Well, I can't explain it more than it's a matter of increasing the particular number of licenses to begin with, which then will be applied to the area which is being increased for the purposes of determination later on by the council.
But the former area
The former area,
will have all these also.
yes, yes.
Okay. I'll be up again when you get this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Freitag. Anyone else care to speak? If no one else wishes to speak, may I have a motion to adopt the ordinance?
second.
Call the roll, please.
First by Pellegrin, second by Fasolo. On roll call, we have council members Dennis,
Yes.
Fasolo,
Yes.
Golubek,
Yes.
Pellegrin,
Yes.
Sheridan,
Yes.
Council President Ballestieri.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution R-176-23, introduced ordinance number 23-09 on second reading. Whereas the public notice has been given by the Borough Clerk that an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance to Amend Chapter 7, Traffic of the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park," more specifically, Article 7-14.1, parking prohibited during certain hours on certain days, was introduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, March 16, 2023, and that further consideration of this ordinance will be taken up at this meeting. And whereas all persons interested in said ordinance were given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that an ordinance entitled, an ordinance to amend Chapter 7, Traffic of the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park, more specifically Article 7-14.1, parking prohibited during certain hours on certain days, passed on final reading.
This is cut and dry, parking prohibited during certain hours. May I have a motion to open to the public? Anyone from the public here to speak on this ordinance? If not, I will close the public portion. May I have a motion to adopt the ordinance? Call the roll, please.
First by Pellegrin, second by Sheridan. On roll call, we have council members Dennis.
Yes.
Fasolo.
Yes.
Golubek.
Yes.
Pellegrin.
Yes.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Council President Ballasteri.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution R-177-23, introduced ordinance number 23-10 on second reading. Whereas the public notice has been given by the Borough Clerk that an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending and supplementing the Code of the Borough, Chapter 2, entitled Administration, more specifically Section 2-27.27.2, entitled Police Chaplains, same to be amended to contain the following language herein, was introduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, March 16, 2023, and that further consideration of this ordinance will be taken up at this meeting. And whereas all persons interested in said ordinance were given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending and supplementing the Code of the Borough, Chapter 2, entitled Administration, more specifically Section 2-27.27.2, entitled Police Chaplains, same to be amended to contain the following language herein, passed on final reading.
May I have a motion to open to the public?
Second.
Anyone from the public here to speak on this ordinance? If not, I will close the public portion. May I have a motion to adopt the ordinance?
Second.
First by Pellegrin, second by Fasolo. On roll call, we have council members Dennis.
Yes.
Fasolo.
Yes.
Golubek.
Yes.
Pellegrin.
Yes.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Council President Ballasteri.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution R-178-23, introduced ordinance number 23-11 on second reading. Whereas the public notice has been given by the Borough Clerk that an ordinance entitled, Bond Ordinance to Appropriate an Additional Sum of $230,000 for the undertaking of streetscape improvements to Mola Boulevard from Linden Avenue to Phillip Avenue in by and for the Borough of Elmwood Park in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such additional appropriation and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds, was introduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, March 16, 2023, and that further consideration of this ordinance will be taken up at this meeting. And whereas all persons interested in said ordinance were given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same. Now therefore be resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that an ordinance entitled, Bond ordinance to appropriate an additional sum of $230,000 for the undertaking of streetscape improvements to Mola Boulevard from Linden Avenue to Phillip Avenue in by and for the Borough of Elmwood Park in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such additional appropriation and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds, passed on final reading.
Mr. Foligno, you break this down a little for
Sure,
us,
Mayor.
please?
The borough received several grants, I believe 3 so far, to add decorative lighting to Mola Boulevard from Linden Avenue, and the goal is to get all the way to Route 4. We have to appropriate that money, put forth the money, and then it gets fully reimbursed as part of the grant, and that's what we're doing here.
So we're getting the total amount of $230,000 in grants?
Correct.
Very nice. May I have a motion to open to the public?
Second.
Anyone from the public here to speak on this ordinance? If not, I will close the public portion. May I have a motion to adopt the ordinance, please?
Second.
First by
Call the roll.
First by Pellegrin, second by Fasolo. On roll call, we have council members Dennis.
Yes.
Fasolo.
Yes.
Golubek.
Yes.
Pellegrin.
Yes.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Council President Ballasteri.
Yes.
Motion carried. Resolution R-179-23, introduce ordinance number 23-12 on second reading, whereas the public notice has been given by the Borough Clerk that an ordinance entitled Bond Ordinance to Authorize the Making of Various Public Improvements in the Acquisition of New Additional or Replacement Equipment and Machinery, New Communication and Signal Systems Equipment, New Information Technology Equipment, New Additional Furnishing and New Automotive Vehicles, including original apparatus and equipment, and by and for the Borough of Elmwood Park in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $872,700 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds, was introduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, March 16, 2023, and that further consideration of this ordinance would be taken up at this meeting. And whereas all persons interested in said ordinance were given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that an ordinance entitled Bonds Ordinance to Authorize the Making of Various Public Improvements and the acquisition of new additional or replacement equipment and machinery, new communication and signal systems equipment, new information technology equipment, new additional furnishings, and new automotive vehicles, including original apparatus and equipment, and by and for the Borough of Elmwood Park in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $872,700 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds, pass on final reading.
Motion to open to the public.
So moved.
Anyone from the public care to speak on this ordinance and this ordinance alone? If not, I will close the public portion. May I have a motion to adopt the ordinance?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
First by Pellegrin, second by Council President Ballesteri. On roll call, we have Council Members Dennis.
Yes.
Pasolo.
Yes.
Golombek.
Yes.
Pellegrin.
Yes.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Council President Ballesteri.
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution R-180-23, introduce ordinance number 23-13 on second reading, whereas the public notice has been given by the Borough Clerk that an ordinance entitled, an ordinance to amend the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park, New Jersey, more specifically the Cannabis Ordinance and the zoning site plan to permit and govern legal cannabis and marijuana operations within the Borough of Elmwood Park to allow use to more designated locations within the borough, was introduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, March 16, 2023, and that further consideration of this ordinance will be taken up at this meeting. And whereas all persons interested in said ordinance were given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Elmwood Park that an ordinance entitled, an ordinance to amend the Code of the Borough of Elmwood Park, New Jersey, more specifically the Cannabis Ordinance and the zoning site plan to permit and govern legal cannabis and marijuana operations within the Borough of Elmwood Park to allow use to more designated locations within the borough, pass on final reading.
Mr. Ingrafia, would you like to elaborate, please? I'm sorry.
Yes, Mayor, this is, again, it's in conjunction with the prior ordinance, where it's expanding the number of licenses. This is actually the ordinance going to expand the areas where those licenses can be implemented and utilized.
Thank you. Anyone from the ordinance?
from
I'm
public.
sorry, audience, not ordinance. It's getting late. Care to speak on this?
Can I have a motion to open to the public?
Motion to open to the public, first of all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeffrey Freitag, 35 Hillman Drive. What is the impetus for this? What brought this about?
I'm sorry? What's the question, Jeff? Come closer to the mic if you could.
What brought this about? What is the impetus for doing this?
The discretion of the council to change zoning.
Okay. Well, I would assume there's usually something behind.
If I may, Mayor, I could
Yes, go
try
ahead,
to
please.
answer that. The impetus is that in view of what we initially in the borough of Elmwood Park implemented a particular ordinance which would allow the cannabis sale, production, growing, and so forth. It has become evident that in the current market, people who are in the position that own certain properties in municipalities have become very aggressive with their actual demand of rental and/or leasing and/or sale. That makes it very difficult for the licensees to be approved, because if they don't have a place for approval, it makes it very difficult for them to get the license from this council. In view of that, requests have been made and consideration has been given by the board to consider expanding the areas in order to make it a little bit more competitive. And this is what this is being done for. To make it a little bit more competitive for licensees to get licenses, premises. That's one thing I think we should get a bonding.
It's not a joke.
No.
Whatever. It's quite frustrating. I really don't understand this, because if all the planning in the process, I'm sure the planner was used and everything to begin with when the law was passed and when the ordinance was done in the park, that where it would be sold from. Now, likewise, would we relax zoning in this town for a two-family house? The person had one family and wanted to build a two-family. I said, gee, I can't sell the house. Two families right next to me, and that was built, and now it's 75 by 100. Would we equally do something like that for that area of zoning? I don't think so. Because
Well,
it's done for a reason.
I
Now
would-
we're really, in some respects, spot zoning. You have an area that didn't include that, and now all of a sudden, I guess it needed to be included. Not a small area, a lengthy area. Did you ever see It's a Wonderful Life? Remember when James Cagney found out he died, and what did the town become? Potterville. Is that what I see for maybe a grandchild that I might have someday? That that's what it's going to be? My son lives here, my wife and I lived here 73 years. My brother lives here 75 years. Is this what we're about to see? Where else will it be? First we were told it was only that 1702 lot. Now I get an answer here, over here. Well, we can do that. I guess you can do anything. You know what? It's just not right. Do what you want to do, because you're only going to do it. And by the way, what entitled you to go into closed session in the middle of a vote, or about a vote about me? What reason was it given? Was the reason given?
I had a legal concern that had to be addressed. Mr. Freitag, you've been on boards.
And I know how it works.
You know Robert's rules. You know what is allowed and what is not allowed. Okay,
It was never announced, so I couldn't tell.
okay. Well, I had a legal concern that I wanted to state. Okay, that I felt was valid. Okay, and like you may not like it, but it's something that the council felt had to happen. Just because. I mean, you obviously you have your opinion on a lot of subjects, and I admire that because you care about the town. I know you care about the town. I care about the town. We're not here otherwise, but obviously we're not going to agree on every single
I
subject.
remember once when you said you would never raise your children in this town.
I said that,
You said, yes.
and where did I say that?
Yes. Thank you.
Well, I'm here and I'm staying here. I don't know if I'm going to have children. I don't know.
Are you done?
Yes.
Anyone else care to speak from the council?
From the
And,
public.
I'm sorry, the audience?
From the public.
What?
From the public, not the public. Anybody else from the public?
From the public. Okay. If not, I'll close the public portion. May I have a motion to adopt the ordinance?
So move.
No.
Call the roll, please.
Can I have a second?
Second.
First by Fasolo, second by Pellegrin. On roll call, we have Councilmembers Dennis. Yes. Fasolo.
Yes.
Golombek.
Yes.
Pellegrin.
Yes.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Council President Ballasteri.
Yes.
Motion carries. Moving on to the consent agenda. Okay, we have resolutions R-181-23, approval of payroll, R-182-23, approval of bills list, R-183-23, resolution requesting change in title, text, or amount of appropriation to NJSA 48:4-85, Chapter 159, PL 1948. R-184-23, appointment of temporary part-time position of finance clerk for the Borough Finance Department. R-185-23, authorized vacation buyback. R-186-23, authorized current estimate number 3, Vietnam Veterans Memorial Statute. R-187-23, award proposal for baseball A-polls. R-188-23, resolution establishing change fund for the Borough of Elmwood Park Board of Health. R-189-23, resolution rescinding a prior resolution. R-73-21.
Mayor, if I may, with this particular resolution, R-189-83,
23.
23.
Could you get in the mic? I can't hear it.
Yes, with that particular resolution, Mayor, I would request at this time, if it's possible, to carry it to the coming session of the work session.
So you want to
Discuss.
remove this from the agenda?
Yes. For
Counsel-
legal action.
I'll make the motion to table R-189-23.
Okay, table R-189-23. All in favor?
Okay.
Oh, roll call?
Okay.
Sorry.
I just wanted to see what you were referring to.
A motion was made to table resolution R-189-23 in second, so I need a roll call. Councilmembers Dennis?
Yes.
Yes, they're taking it out. Fasolo?
Yes.
Golubek? Yes. Pellegrin? Yes. Sheridan? Yes. Council President Valesari?
Yes.
Resolution R-189-23 is now tabled and removed from the consent agenda. Continuing through the consent agenda, we have Resolution R-190-23, removal of ladies auxiliary member. R-191-23, appointment of firefighter. R-192-23, authorized coin toss events, Defender Company Number 4. R-193-23, resolution in recognition of Mental Health Awareness Month 2023. R-194-23, appointment of Cannabis Board member Joseph Pride. R-195-23, person-to-person liquor license transfer. R-196-23, amendment to the 2022 Fire Department clothing allowance. R-197-23, resolution to approve the consent agenda.
May I have a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
First by Fasolo, second by Pellegrin, and roll call. We have Councilmembers Dennis.
Yes.
Fasolo.
Yes.
Golubek.
Yes.
Pellegrin.
Yes.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Council President Valesari.
Yes.
Motion carries. Mayor, this concludes, departmental reports. We have Library Board meeting minutes from February 27, 2023. Board of Health meeting minutes from January 9, 2023.
May I have a motion to accept the departmental reports?
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Okay, now we have applications. We have the St. Leo's RC Church raffle for May 5th, 2023, and then we have the PBA Local 134 raffle for May 10th, 2023.
Motion to accept the applications.
So moved.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye. Okay, now, Mayor, that concludes my portion of the meeting. I will turn it over to you for council reports.
Thank you, Shanae. Councilwoman Dennis?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank the Elks for their contributions to the youth of Elmwood Park, all the donations and volunteering, sports workshops, like the gentleman mentioned, was greatly appreciated, and we hope that they continue their efforts in town. Just a reminder, our Spring Festival is this Saturday from 11 to 5 on Market Street between Boulevard and Pine. The street will be closed starting at 7 a.m. And just thanks to Roy, our BA, and all the staff and our Finance Committee for helping keep our 0% tax increase. As a resident, I appreciate it, and I'm sure other residents will appreciate it as well. Progress.
Thank you. Councilman Fasolo.
Thank you, Mayor. On the same note of the zero tax increase that we all are happy about, the tax quarter is coming up, so we do still have to pay, even though it's zero. But now you could pay online. It's very convenient on the borough website. You go online and you can pay your next quarter taxes right from their website. Tomorrow is Burgers with the Blue from 12 to 7 p.m. at Steve's Burger on Route 46 West. There's going to be games, food, and music, so hopefully you could join us there. On April 25th, there's Smoothies with the Cops, EP's Finest, on Tuesday, April 25th from 11:30 to 2 p.m. They're one of Elmwood Park's newest businesses on Route 46 West. It's called Tropical Juice Bar. On April 26th, there's going to be a youth committee meeting at 6:30 p.m. in the multipurpose room. All children 18 years or younger can attend. And we also have Battle at the Ball Field on Saturday, May 6th, free burgers and hot dogs at 3 p.m. at the softball field on the corner of Gilbert and Spidell. Progress, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Golubek?
Thank you, Mayor. Just one thing to report. As the community block grant development liaison to Elmwood Park, along with Borough Administrator Foligno, we attended the annual meeting of the Central Committee of CDBG this past week, where it's a group of 10 towns and they have to divvy up the federal monies, the community block grant monies amongst the towns. And I'm pleased to report that we will be receiving $123,000 towards the paving of 14 portions of 14th Ave, 16th Ave, and East 53rd Street. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. That's all good news. Councilwoman Pellegrin.
Yes, good evening, everyone. My Board of Health update. Their next free rabies clinic for dogs and cats will be held on Wednesday, May 17th from 5 to 7 p.m. at Firehouse Number 4 on Mola Boulevard. The Elmwood Park Board of Health presents their third annual Elmwood Park Celebrate Seniors on September 30th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Location Market Street from Mola Boulevard to Pine Street. There will be great activities, entertainment, giveaways, and refreshments, so save the date for a fun afternoon. And their next regular meeting will be held on May 8th at 7 p.m. Also, last week, I received a letter from Mr. Larry and Sarah Jr., the CEO of ShopRite. I put it on social media, but for those that are not on social media, I would like to read the letter. They might view this on TV. Dear Elmwood Park residents, my last letter to you was in October of 2022. At that time, the construction of the new Elmwood Park ShopRite was about to begin. As you can see, construction has started, and due to the mild winter, we have made good progress. I am pleased to report that we are still on target for a fall 2023 opening. Future updates and job opportunities will be provided to you as we move forward. My family and I are looking forward to being a part of your Elmwood Park community. Working together, we can and will make a difference in your community. Sincerely, Lawrence and Sarah Jr. I was speaking to his assistant, and they're going to try to give updates every couple of months, especially for the job opportunities for our residents. So it's a really great thing. Mr. Insera has been instrumental with the Vietnam Memorial and so many other things in town, the RAP organization. He gives so much, so this is the kind of business owner we're happy to welcome to our community. Also, I would like to thank the Elks for all they do for our community. They do so much, as you heard tonight, and I'm so impressed with them. The more I learn about the Elks organization, I didn't know an awful lot about it till recently this year, and I'm just so impressed with all they do and all they give, and I really want to sincerely thank them, and I hope they hear this on TV because it's really special. So the ones that are here, thank you, and I hope the other ones will hear this. And to Pam and her family, again, thank you. You are making a difference. Definitely lives will be saved from your hard work, and so I want to thank you for your efforts, and I appreciate you. Progress, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Sheridan.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, the Elmwood Park Elks is having their super cocktail party tomorrow, April 21st at 7 o'clock. It's $25 per person. On Sunday, they're having the spring vendor show, April 23rd from 10 to 3. And then on April 27th, they're having a paint night, $45 a person. Contact Laura. I have the information if you need it. Going to the homeowners, the Elmwood Park Homeowners Association is hosting an evening with the Bergen County Sheriff's Department in the K-9 unit on Wednesday, April 26th at 7 o'clock at the Senior Center. Basically, what that is they're going to demonstrate how they use the K-9s, how they were trained. It's really good background on how the dogs are trained, where they come from, the people that train them, the officers that have them. It's very interesting. If you want any more information, contact Linda Galabini at 201-982-4919. Also, the homeowners are going to have their Wind Creek Casino trip on Friday, April 28th. The bus leaves the rec center at 10 o'clock, comes back around 7. It's $50 with a $35 cash voucher. Again, contact Linda. Also, the Elmwood Park Homeowners Association is pleased to participate in the high school scholarship program. They're going to give, you have to be an Elmwood Park high school student to apply for this. It's a $3,000 scholarship award. That's it, Mayor. Progress.
Thank you. Council President Ballesteri?
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to, as a member of the Elks for several years now, I want to thank them. They do so much for our community, and we're very proud of them. So thank you for all you do for all of us. I also want to thank Roy, our Finance Committee, and our BA working together to, once again this year, to bring 0% increase to our residents. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman. To sound redundant, and I believe you covered this, but I swore to Lori that I would read this, because she figured between one of us it was good. Right. To pay your Elmwood Park property taxes online, visit the borough website, elmwoodparknj.us. Click on the first box on the left under the picture, and you could pay your taxes without coming into the borough. Are we good, Sal? We're good.
Mayor, real quick, if I may, Mayor, I just want to commend Councilwoman Dennis. She worked very hard to get this done with the Finance Department and put that on the website, so I just want to commend her on her hard work there.
Excellent. Yeah, people have been asking about this for quite some time, so touche. Two other announcements. I was asked by the Committee for Memorial Day if the council would like to have a float for Memorial Day. So I think this is apropos time. I can ask you. Speak up.
Do we not walk? That we can
Are we not walking?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Say yes.
Mr. Fasola?
Are you into you know, I like walking, but yes, maybe I'll walk. Yeah, we'll go on the float. It's fine.
You going on the float?
I'm being.
Yeah, you're being very congenial.
Bombarded here.
Okay, on this side? Okay, Mike, you know what to do there, right? Sure. And one other thing I'd like to make mention that I had the opportunity today, it seems like yesterday, it's so long ago, right? We were at the Senior Center and they were celebrating and honoring their volunteers. They had 18 of them that they were honoring for all the time they put in, and they get nothing in return. It was a good moment. It was a funny moment. We had some fun with the seniors, and looking forward to being there again next year to follow through on that. And I believe that's it. Let me see. We're good. Okay. I am concluded. I need a motion to open to the public.
No.
Right?
So move.
Second.
All in favor? Anyone from the public here to speak on anything? Anything? No? Okay, I'll close the public portion. I have a motion to, do we need executive?
No.
Ah, so then a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn, correct? We want to go home. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There you go.